This video we're going to be spectating a one above all Rocket player who does no damage whatsoever inside his games. Let's see how he does it. So this is our guy right here, the no damage Rocket. Now it'd be very interesting to see how this guy actually plays the game. This one's more of an entertaining one if I'm being honest with you, because not everyone should really play like this. But in terms of positioning and things like that, it would be interesting to see how he positions himself, obviously because he can't do damage. So what is he doing to kind of stay alive? Because there will be times where he does get dived on or someone goes to attack him and obviously he can't kill the player. So what is he going to do in that scenario? And how he positions is something that we can take away from this, because that is all this guy's got, is healing and positioning within his team, and obviously how he supports his team in other ways. And we'll see if he tries to be a distraction or anything like that. But this first initial push is pretty solid. His team seems to be pretty good as well. Obviously, he's a one above all player, so he will be playing with really solid players here, which know exactly what they're doing as well. I do want to point out that he's only one of two healers as well. He's not a triple support or anything like that, which is something that I do need to mention, because Rocket's not one of the best healers in the game. All things considered, this guy is obviously going to be pretty good, but compared to someone like a Cloak and Dagger or a Luna Snow, who I think are top two for healers in this game, I think Invisible Woman's like third in terms of best healers in this game, so that's just a kind of an idea of what's going on. Now, what he's doing right now is positioning himself within his team, so like inside his team. He's not really staying too far away from them. And all he's doing is spamming out the heals and obviously dropping back when he needs to obviously take cover behind that wall so that no one can see him. Obviously still spamming out these heals. So they ulted, or his team ulted, because the Star-Lord ulted there, so they could stay alive within the Invisible Woman's ultimate. He's not really had to do too much in terms of movement and things like that, which I thought I would have expected for this, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But this guy's doing an amazing job. Obviously, he's a one above all player, basically outputting no damage whatsoever, which is crazy, because obviously a lot of this is to do with like positioning and obviously how he's playing within his team. But like I said, he's sticking really close and he's just spamming these heals out. And obviously he's using the heals to heal himself as well, because Rocket can do that. If you bounce the heal off a wall, it's going to heal you too. Now, not everyone should play like this, by the way, as much as a lot of people would appreciate it, especially myself, if I see a Rocket play like this. And I've actually had a few Rockets play with me that are actually doing this kind of strategy, where they just sit the back and they just like spam the heals out. And I appreciate it a ton. In that game, I was playing as Invisible Woman, and I was kind of doing the kind of DPS kind of healing, whilst this guy was just sitting at the back. He literally had 2 kills, and he must have outputted so much healing within the game. Obviously, he's not quite to the level of this guy, but he was doing a similar kind of play style. Not that I recommend it. Obviously, it's not that fun, especially when you're playing ranked and you don't want to just sit back and do nothing besides just healing your team up. But it is effective, as you can see. It does work. Even though you're not outputting damage, you can still just heal your team ridiculously well. And I don't think his team has died at all yet, so obviously he's doing a good job here. And obviously they're going to win this round right here, because the other team's just so uncoordinated compared to them, and they're just doing a solid job. So now that we're halfway through, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also leave a like. Obviously, there's still some things that you can learn from this video, but we usually spectate the higher ranked players that are playing obviously normally, and getting tips and seeing how we can both improve from these high level players. And obviously this guy is a high ranked player, and you can play this way if you want to, but obviously it's not optimal or fun like I mentioned. But let's get straight back into it. One thing this guy does really well is he puts his BRBs on really good positions, man. Like, he's putting it where the health packs are, so when his teammates come back, they come back and get health, all that kind of thing, that they're safe and things like that. Really solid stuff. He's standing right on his Punisher right now, and they've done a Doctor Strange portal essentially here. And his Punisher's put himself in a really good spot, actually. I think if you do have a Rocket on your team, you should really ideally have a Punisher or a Winter Soldier, which very popular heroes at the moment anyway, so you're going to see them quite a lot. So it does help because you get all the team up abilities from that. Now this is kind of where Rocket's not the strongest. When your team is taking loads of damage, Rocket is not going to get that amount of healing out there. It's good to top up players and keep them kind of at that high HP. But when they're super low, you want teams with like high impact healing. or heroes with high impact healing, and that's heroes like Luna Snow or Cloak and Dagger, or basically someone like Adam Warlock as well is pretty good at it too. So his Punishers went down here, and now he's kind of hiding behind this wall whilst healing his team with his Invisible Woman. And at this point, this is where you'd want to be doing some kind of damage to fend these players off. But obviously this guy can't do any damage, so now he's relying on dropping back with his team. Now he's dropped back, his things went down as well. He's had to give up a lot of positioning here just because he couldn't do damage in that scenario. And obviously this is something that you need to learn how to do whilst you're dealing damage at the same time. But this guy has to do it a little bit more because obviously he's not using his primary attack at all. So like I said, it's something that he's doing pretty well in terms of positioning, moving back with his team in coordination with his team. And now they're holding up a new position altogether. And this is something you need to do during matches anyway. But he could have easily have shot that Doctor Strange, maybe forced them further back a little bit. They wouldn't have had to push so far back. But because his team's pretty solid, they're now getting the payload moving backwards again. So as you can see, they're doing a really solid job here. And he's making sure to get the revives out, because obviously that will bring back all of his DPS heroes or his teammates essentially, so they don't die and have to run the full length of the map to get back into the fight, because he will need them, because again, he can't output any damage. But we've now got an Eye of Agamotto, and then they've ulted on top of that to keep the team alive. Like I said, Rocket doesn't have that kind of healing power in this game to keep the team alive through an Eye of Agamotto, and even his ultimate doesn't really do that either, because his ultimate only gives damage buffs. So I think the opposite team's Punisher has now ulted, I'm pretty sure here. Yep, so there's the opposite team Punisher. And again, he's just really spamming these heals out, but that teammate will die. Just because, like I said, Rocket doesn't have the healing power. As much as he can heal, he's not really as strong as some of the other ones in the game. So he's back now, again. Like I said, spamming out these heals. It'll be very interesting to see how they win this game, because they do win this game. And obviously his team's pretty solid, but he obviously holds them off at some point. And again, he's just spamming these heals out, jumping up and down, doing his thing. Staying behind cover as well, which is good. And now he's using his movement to stay alive now. So this is the bit where he's under pressure, so he's using his dashes, he's using his movement, jumping up and down quite a lot. His team's now pushing the payload back now as well, which is great. Just providing those heals once again. Obviously just going to spam the heal button. We don't need to talk too much about that. And he's always on like high ground. He's trying to stay away from the enemy team as much as he possibly can do. Sometimes it's unavoidable in certain parts of the map, obviously. And obviously you want to stay behind your team when you're healing, especially when you're doing kind of what this guy's doing without dealing any damage. But obviously this kind of gives you an understanding, because not all the healers do loads of damage anyway. So even if you didn't want to do damage, then you don't really have to with a support player. Some of them are good at dealing damage, but some of them are not, right? So obviously it depends on which one you're using and what you should be focusing your efforts on. Now they're holding the enemy team back really, really well here. And unless they do a Doctor Strange portal or something, I don't really see how this team gets back onto this point, because it's only 15 seconds and they've held them off extremely well, to be honest. There was a point in which I thought they were going to go down, but like I said, without a Doctor Strange portal or something of this nature, I don't think this is going to really work too well. And the game is pretty much done at this point. So he's Eye of Agamotto, but it does not matter because our guy won the game. So there we have it. Our guy got 43 assists. He died once, which to be fair is pretty impressive, to be honest. And also he had 27 or almost 28k healing in this game, which is pretty solid, man. This guy outputs a good amount of healing. As you can see, the Invisible Woman, who's a slightly stronger character when it comes to healing, done 23k. So he actually output more healing than the Invisible Woman, which obviously was dealing damage as well. So obviously it's a bit of a trade-off there. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching.